I'm Dr. Scott Haggerty, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm excited tonight to talk about this because this is one of the things that is very passionate to me, is tapping into the body's own ability to heal. What we're going to go through is we're going to discuss a lot of the content of this book, The Power of Self-Healing, written by Dr. Fabrizio Mancini. Dr. Mancini was the president of a place called Parker College of Chiropractic in Texas, and he's just a brilliant man. His life's mission is to try and reach as many people as he can so that they can learn how to go and take control of their own health. So in talking about that, let's just lay out the basics. Let's ask a simple question. What is health? What do you guys think? What is health?
It's functioning at your maximum efficiency as far as your performance and your sleep and everything, so that you can do what you want to do without any hindrance.
It's a good answer. Anybody else want to give an answer?
Keeping your body functioning at its optimal.
Great answer as well. So health would then be defined as optimal function of the body regardless of the presence of sickness or disease. Right? So that's everyone's goal, is to try and function at 100% regardless. You want to make sure that your 100% body is in the right position so that it can heal, function, and have a great quality of life. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about a few of the biggest problems that we see these days. We have this healthcare system that's really built as a sick care system, right? So it doesn't give us what we would hope for as far as preventative care. So obviously if we have a severe injury or a disease, we're going to go to our medical doctors and we're going to go and focus on getting ourselves better and doing what's necessary, being fully engaged in the process. But because so many of us are facing diseases and our loved ones are, we have to be very engaged in that process and learning that we have a strong role in that. It can't be just they fix us. We have to be engaged in how we fix ourselves so that we get the maximum out of any treatment protocol that we're going to be involved in. So here's some facts. For the first time in 2 centuries, the current generation of children in America may have shorter life expectancies than their parents. It's a scary stat, right? The U.S. spends over $2.4 trillion, not billion, trillion, on sick care, which is $6,500 for every man, woman, and child in this country. Anybody else know that stat? That's a staggering number, would you not agree? Over 50% of all personal bankruptcies in the United States are related to health care expenses. Staggering. $1 out of every 6 in this country goes towards health care. Now you would think with the amount of money that we spend on health care too, the United States would rank high in health care. We are 37th in the world. Does that bother anybody here?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Waste of money.
Well, it's not that. Let's look. It's a bigger global problem, right? The system that we have, if you come in and you have a disease, right, our system is built to be one of the best and most efficient to treat them. It's a global problem. We, as a people, have stopped taking responsibility for keeping ourselves healthy in the way that we need to. But part of that is that in some ways the power to take care of yourself has been taken away, because if we are not taught how to go and do that, then how do you know what health really is? How do you know how to maintain health? How do you know how to get yourself back on track when you start to develop problems? So what we're going to do is we're going to start attacking this, okay? So as we go through, we're going to talk about some of the bigger problems that we face today. So let's talk about the first big one, stress. Who here has stress every day in their life? Everybody, right? Did you know that there is an actual process to the way that your body handles stress? Yes, no?
Yes.
They've actually defined it, all right? There is a man named Dr. Hans Selye. He is the father of stress. He's the one who created the term stress. Dr. Selye said it's not stress that kills us, it is our reaction to it. This is 100% true. So, and I want you to examine your own selves as we go through this and see how you are, what stage you're in, because there are 3 distinct stages to stress. So, the condition itself is called the general adaptation syndrome. Okay? This is a very, very important term. General adaptation syndrome is what your body does in staging to stress and how it responds. Okay? Stage 1 is the alarm stage. Stage 2 is the resistance stage. Stage 3 is the exhaustion stage. Okay? Alarm stage. First reaction to the stress. Body recognizes there's a danger, prepares to deal with the threat. It increases the stress hormones. It increases what's called cortisol, which is primary stress hormone, increases the function of the adrenal glands, increases norepinephrine or noradrenaline, and all these are released to provide you with instant energy to react to whatever the stressors are, which is why when you're in a stressful situation, oftentimes you actually get very agitated, right? So you feel that shakiness oftentimes when you're in an immediate stress situation. Your body can't stay in this for very long, okay? So if it's repeatedly not used by physical activity, it can become very harmful. So high stress for long periods of time is very deleting of health. The second stage is the resistance stage. So stress hormones during this phase may return to normal, but you also may have reduced defenses and adaptive energy left. If the condition persists, your body adapts by continued effort and resistance, and it can remain in a state of arousal. Okay? So that means if you're under chronic stress, your body's trying to figure out how to go and adapt to try and get you back down towards normal. But you can't stay this way for very long before the system begins to break down. So it says problems begin to manifest when you find yourself repeating this process frequently. So when you have a stressful job and you're repeating the cycle day in, day out, and you're not finding ways to adapt or deal with the stressors, you're continuously going back through this cycle, and the body's adaptive processes begin to break down, which is when you get into the exhaustion stage. Okay? In the exhaustion stage, your body's ability to resist is lost because now its adaptation energy is becoming depleted. So often it's referred to as overload, burnout, adrenal fatigue. I'm sure many of you have heard a lot of these terms. Okay? So this adaptive process begins to now break down all of your barriers. Your immune system becomes weakened. You become more fatigued. You're more likely to get sick. So injuries occur. Things like that as your body's processes are breaking down. So chronic stress on us is very, very damaging to our health. I'm sure we've all had those people that we work with that are the super type A's, always stressed out, who oftentimes are also very sick, chronically catching the colds and the flu bugs and dealing with something. Because when you're living in that level of stress for a long period of time, the body's adaptive processes are going to begin to falter. They're going to get sick. They're going to develop chronic diseases. You can only fight that way for so long before your body just can't fight anymore. So the good news is the body's self-healing process begins from within. So we need to develop strategies to help to recover from the stresses of daily life. Okay? So physical self-healing is the first section of the book. Okay? So he lays out a lot of the problems. But when we talk about physical self-healing, that's the one we're most familiar with, right? Physical self-healing can happen in several ways. So let's start with nutrition. Okay? And anyone who knows me knows we like to talk about nutrition. Nutrition is foundational, right? So we have to go and address the foods that we put into our bodies so that we can fight off inflammation, all the body's healing processes to work at 100%. So we talk a lot about anti-inflammatory nutrition. Anti-inflammatory nutrition, and by the way, we have other resources on the website, like the Food as Medicine webinars and things like that. Jenny has a packet that I've written on anti-inflammatory nutrition for anyone who doesn't have this, if you'd like more information. But it goes into quite a bit of depth and expanding on these things. And we'll talk about some more of it here, but you can get a lot more information through there as well. So, but the basics are, when you go into an anti-inflammatory nutrition type eating protocol, it helps the body to knock down inflammation in the system that you're experiencing, okay? Priming the immune function. So, a couple of big things you want to think about is, you want to focus on making time to eat several meals per day, 5 to 6 meals being the minimum goal. You want to prepare self-healing lunches and dinners, eat healthy snacks, incorporating healthy fats, right? So I'm sure a lot of us were raised in a time when they said fat was bad, right? Fat drives cholesterol up. Does everyone know that that's changing, about the importance of fats? So fats are absolutely crucial for us to go and have in our diets, okay? So everyone's probably heard of omega-3s. So, okay, so we'll talk more about that. But so having healthy fats in your diet is absolutely essential to overall health. So lots of fiber, 35 to 40 grams per day, eating organic and non-GMO. Does anybody know why we do that? Okay, that's a great answer. So anybody else know?
Because you're not getting you're getting omega-4s and all sorts of other stuff.
Well, one of the big reasons for wanting to eat organically, okay, is it's a process. And so organic farming allows the soil to be renewable, right, which also helps to preserve the nutrient value that's supposed to be native in the foods. So non-organic, which is more your industrial agricultural, they farm the same area of the crops over and over again, and so they deplete the ground minerals and the vitamins that are supposed to be native, so your body loses the ability to get what it's supposed to from the food, which is why so many of us have to supplement today to go get what we need to go and stay healthy. Non-GMO is a whole different animal. GMO, genetically modified organisms, they have no idea what long-term harm can happen to our body, because does anybody know what genetically modified actually means? Go ahead.
They go into the gene structure of the plant and change the plant. For example, wheat. They found they wanted to make fatter grains of wheat,
Yeah.
and they did that, but then it was too heavy and the plant fell over.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to make the stalk shorter so they could.
Right. Do you know how they do that?
I don't know the biology. I'm a little shaky on biology.
Well-
Crossbreed plant.
Well, so it's scary what they do, okay? When you talk about genetically modifying an organism, you're taking the DNA from a virus, inserting it into a bacteria, and then crossbreeding that with a plant. So it's frankenplants, right? And the problem is there's never been one study ever done that shows that it's safe for us to consume these foods. So you know how they say you are what you eat? Well, when their DNA comes in contact with our DNA, it changes our DNA. Okay? So it's never just eat the food, it's in and out, and it's done. Okay? So we're having the impact of the changes to these things, because now you get foods that are making chemicals that they've never made before, that our bodies have never been exposed to before, because now they're making plants that make their own pesticides and own herbicides, and things that change the way they're structured and supposed to function. It's a completely different breed that it's not natural, and our body was never intended to go and come in contact with these. So there's never been one safety study. So you're seeing more and more nations now banning GMO products as a whole, because they can't prove the safety of the food product that's being put out to us. Okay? Yes?
I heard that they made genetically modified salmon and the United States approved it, the FDA approved it. Why would they approve that?
That's a wonderful question. So, do you want the conspiracy theorist answer, or do you want? No.
I'll take both.
Okay. So the reality of the situation is it's incredibly profitable. Okay. They've never proven the safety of having genetically modified organisms of any sort. Okay. So by genetically modifying them, they can make them faster, which means they can mature the salmon at a faster rate so they can get it. Okay. The problem is with any of these things is that by genetically modifying this animal, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what side effects are going to come from these, because they don't do long-term studies on these. It's not like even the amount of control that goes into making prescription medicines.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they expect us to eat it without having any evidence that it's safe for us to eat it. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, but it's scary because those can go out then and breed and ruin the rest of the salmon.
Yeah.
And then we really don't know what's going on.
Correct. What the good thing is that the majority of those are within farm-raised colonies. They don't oftentimes put them back out into the wild population. So, yeah. So for the farm-raised, they keep them on massive salmon farms, and they breed them to go and get them to mature faster. But they don't oftentimes release them back to the wild population, thank goodness.
But sometimes it's slip up.
When you go to the store, you know.
So like if you go to Costco and you're trying to go look at salmon, it'll say farm-raised or wild-raised. So that's the only differentiation they have to. So, and there's no requirement in this nation for GMO labeling.
You can see the difference.
Yeah.
If you go to Giant Eagle when they're selling Copper River salmon, you can see the Copper River salmon here is dark, and the grain.
It's called Biperin, B-I-P-E-R-I-N. Yeah, for those of you, has anyone here ever been to our website? So onto our website, there's a link over to what's called pure encapsulations, pure prescriptions. They actually talk about a lot of that stuff on there, where you can learn about bioavailability of supplements. There's like a health library on there. So if you want to do research on bioavailability of supplements, things like curcumin, they'll tell you it has to be it's best absorbed if coupled with biperin. Because you'll absorb about 99% of the curcumin if it's coupled with biperin. So, did you have a question, Don? Okay, So sugar also is a big contributor to high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, depression, and it's found in tons of common foods, right? Your soft drinks. So it's added to a lot of breads these days. If you go to McDonald's, everything in there is going to be loaded up with sugar plus tons of chemicals. Jams and spreads, cereals and cereal bars, just about every processed food, and high fructose corn syrup, right? Has anybody seen the recent marketing where they're trying to go and sell high fructose corn syrup as being exactly the same as regular sugar? It is a complete out-and-out lie, okay? So fructose goes through an entirely different pathway than your table sugar does, okay? And the scary part about fructose is it bypasses your body's normal regulatory systems. So it gets free entry into your body cells, leading to obesity, which is why this stuff is so dangerous, okay? So, you know, me as a doctor, having a ton of physiology in my background, we learn this stuff. There's a pathway that your body takes this stuff directly into the cells. When you see these things on TV and someone's telling you corn sugar is exactly the same as table sugar, be mad, because they're lying to you, and it's a blatant lie. The body has two different processes. Processing of table sugar is forced to become glucose for it to get into your cells. Fructose has direct entry into your cells. Okay, nothing to stop it. So your body's regulatory processes are bypassed, okay? Which is why you can be made so susceptible to abdominal obesity and risk factors of heart disease because of too much consumption of fructose, because your body can't regulate it. It can't say, let's get rid of this stuff. It can't say, let's slow it down.
What about the honey and maple syrup? Now that's not
So
listed
maple,
on that.
well, those are two different things, right? So honey turns into glucose, okay? But honey's a really long chain carbohydrate, so it does break down slower than table sugar does. And so maple syrup is actually considered to be a moderate to low glycemic index carbohydrate, so it's actually not that bad. So yeah, it's just because of the structure of it, but it goes through the normal processing where it will become glucose. It just gets there slower. Yeah.
You said honey was bad?
No. I didn't say honey was bad.
Oh.
I said it's a different type of carbohydrate. It's a longer chain carbohydrate. So it goes through the normal body processes. And again, it still is a sugar, so you don't want to overconsume honey. So, and it's oftentimes best to go and take honey with something else that will slow down the pace of its absorption even a little further, like a fiber source, whether it's flax meal or oats or something along those lines.
I've seen a lot of products now that just put in corn syrup.
Yeah. If it has corn syrup on the label, avoid it. You really want to just keep away from it. And the problem is, and you may want to do some research on your own, they're changing the name of corn syrup so that they can hide it in the products because people are so often aware now. So what you want to do is just go on your own and just do some research on Google and look for alternative names for corn syrup. Okay? Because they're constantly coming up with new names for it so that they can get into the products that you eat without you knowing what it is. Okay? So food additives here are scary. Food additives are oftentimes linked to cancer, and it's found in a lot of your artificial sweeteners, artificial colors. They're preservatives, a lot of your artificial flavors like in your smoked meats, nitrates and nitrites. Did everyone here know that nitrates and nitrites are known carcinogens? You can't find many smoked meats, or you can't find many lunch meats that don't have nitrates and nitrites in them. So your hot dogs and your kielbasa's and all that stuff, all of our summer favorites, if you see nitrates and nitrites on it, you want to avoid it, especially because one of these things go after is the colon. Okay? And so this area of the country has the highest colon cancer rate in the entire world. Okay? So avoiding this stuff here is important. And then trans fats obviously are a big deal. So food allergens, anti-healers, and your food allergens come from things like wheat, rye, barley, spelt, oats that contain gluten. And it's actually gluten and gliadin that are the problems, and we'll talk about those in another lecture. But you know, everyone's heard about the problems with gluten these days, and it's not so much just the allergies. There's a sensitivity problem where it's wreaking havoc on our immune function. Milk is oftentimes a really potent allergen for us. So a lot of egg proteins can be allergenic, certain nuts, corn, soy, yeast, chocolate. Chocolate just makes me sad. And some additives.
What about nuts? You said certain nuts.
Yeah, certain nuts, because not every nut is allergenic. It depends upon the protein type.
Okay.
So,
depends on the person too?
well, yes, but certain nuts are more allergenic than others.
Okay, so you're not saying...
Not all nuts. Some people have allergies
Not
to
all.
certain nuts. If they have like food allergy testing,
Right.
then they'll have a handful of different types of nuts. They express a
But the
sensitivity or an
person
allergy
who
to.
doesn't have the allergies, then nuts are okay.
Yeah, well, generally nuts are very well recommended. A lot of it is just exposures at early ages to these things that trigger an immune response before you're ready to have it, right? I don't know if anybody knows this, a lot of your vaccines have like nut proteins as part of the preservatives. So when you have an early exposure to it, it creates a sensitivity reaction, which is why you see a lot more kids who have these nut allergies. So the exposure and the sensitizing of the immune system at an early age will then trigger an allergy response if the body wasn't prepped to handle it. Because really you shouldn't have exposure to nuts until you're at least 2 years old.
Now, eggs by themselves, if you're not allergic or anything, that's still inflammatory, or?
No, eggs in general are good. So if you're eating organic farm-raised eggs that have a lot of omega-3s in them, they're fine. It's just if you have a sensitivity to the eggs because of whatever sensitized your system to them. So food intolerances, like we talked about, occur in about 70% of the population. And so for the most common ones, gluten, lactose, fructose, and histamine. So I'm sure most everyone's heard about gluten. Most of us know about lactose. Fructose, like we just talked about, is a bigger problem because there's actually conditions where people develop allergy to fructose, which can cause some really severe health conditions. And a lot of people don't know it until their health is really far declined. The book goes into it a little bit more in depth, but it's definitely something where you really want to minimize the fructose intake. Small amounts, because fruit sugars sometimes contain some fructose. You'll get a little bit of fructose from certain types of sweeteners. It's okay in small amounts, right? But large quantities, like you're getting it from drinking a Gatorade every day, or eating a lot of your candies or a lot of the fruit drinks. Your fruit drinks are just laden with it. I mean, it's just, and your sodas are always laden with it. I mean, so you really want to avoid this stuff. Now, histamine is something that's a little bit lesser known, but it's triggered by things like pizza, beer, red wine, fish, and many types of cheeses. So it can be a very irritating type of food sensitivity where you'll have to really limit consumption of a lot of the foods that cause the histamine reaction.
How do you make it?
So as soon as you eat it, you get a reaction to it.
As soon as you eat.
As soon as you eat it. It's kind of like a person who has like a shellfish allergy. As soon as they do it, they have a reaction. That reaction is what's called a histamine reaction, right? The problem is that with them, it can be life-threatening because they'll go anaphylactic, right? So with a person who has a histamine reaction, they'll become congested, cough, mucus production, things like that. They won't have the severe reaction like a person who's got like a life-threatening allergy, okay? So supplements, I know this is always of interest. So let's talk some about this. And I want to do a little bit more depth on here. I'm not going to go through them all, but there's a lot of information here to be learned about supplements, how they can help to improve your body's healing abilities. So I think everyone knows that we need to go into a good quality multi every day, okay? Your multivitamins, multiminerals, just fill in the gaps. Oftentimes we do not have what we need from our diets, so we need to rely on having a really good, highly bioavailable multivitamin, multimineral in our system. One of the things that is said in here, which I thought was interesting, is that in the Journal of Nutrition, a study reported that taking a multi, patients experienced fewer heart attacks, and men reduced that risk by 22%, women by 33%. Ladies, do you know that you're more at risk for a fatal heart event than a man is? Do you know this? So women by a long shot have more frequency of fatal cardiac events than guys. Okay? So focusing on things that really keep your risk factors down are very important, okay? So a lot of the stuff we're talking about here is going to be directly related to how you impact reducing inflammation in the cardiovascular system. So they've also shown a number of studies that it suppresses various forms of cancer and prevents return of certain types of cancers because it prevents free radical damage to the cells due to antioxidants. A lot of your more common antioxidants would be like your vitamin A, C, E, selenium, vitamin K. Okay? So you want to make sure that when you're buying a multivitamin, you got to make sure it's good quality stuff. Okay? And I don't know if anyone pays attention to the news, but your major grocery chains have really been indicted by the FDA for not even having what their supplements are supposed to have in them. Did anybody else know this? You can do your own research on this. It was a huge story. So they went through and they took supplements off the shelf of CVS, Walmart, Walgreens, and several other major retailers, including GNC, and found that their multivitamins and multiminerals did not contain what they said they did. So, like not actually having the vitamins and minerals that were supposed to be in them on the shelf items. Okay?
How do you know what's a good one?
Well, I tend to go towards two basic types, right? I really like using either a hypoallergenic type of vitamin or a whole food. Okay? And so a lot of your whole food ones are They might have lower concentrations, but they're 100% bioavailable to your system, which means that you eat, you get it all, okay? And if you want to do something that's hypoallergenic, because some whole food manufacturers will use some allergenic binders or foods. So if you have sensitivities, you go to the hypoallergenic brands. We use one called Pure Encapsulations, where, I mean, they go to the nth degree to make sure that things are hypoallergenic. Like, they go all the way back to make sure that if it comes from a food source that they extracted, like a vitamin, then they go all the way back to make sure it's organically raised, non-GMO, to that extent, okay? So hypoallergenic companies, when they make vitamins and minerals, are really, really careful about that stuff. So whole foods or hypoallergenics, in my opinion, are the best. And companies like, for example, with Pure Encapsulations, they are big on bioavailability, right? Bioavailability is the ability of the body to go and extract the vitamins and minerals that you are taking, but the form really matters. So, like, if you were to go home and take a look at your shelf vitamins and minerals, a lot of times if you get like a GMC or your off-the-shelf ones from Walgreens or Giant Eagle, if you look at something like, say, for example, calcium, oftentimes you'll see calcium carbonate is going to be the form of calcium. It's ground up seashells. Calcium carbonate, then, with the ground up seashells in there, is only 30% bioavailable, okay? So that means that the other 70% stays in your gut, causes free radical damage, and can constipate you, along with other issues. So, whereas, let's say, for example, if you take calcium citrate, okay, which is like Citracal, calcium citrate is upwards of 85 to 90% bioavailable. So it's a huge swing, right? You're talking a 60% difference, give or take, on these things. So the bioavailability really matters. Magnesium is the same way. A lot of your ground-based mineral types, your minerals, always have a certain type where they're most readily absorbed by the system. In magnesium, it's like magnesium malate, magnesium glycinate, your most bioavailable forms. So for example, like in this area, Vital Choice tends to stock things that are very highly bioavailable. A lot of your practitioners who sell supplements always get very, very highly bioavailable stuff. So it's, you know, you got to just be label reading, and you got to be cautious when you buy, and do your research. The information is readily available out there. You know, talk to places like us. Go online about, you know, supplement bioavailability. It'll give you a lot of good information on that. Yes, sir.
Consumers Reports done that
Yeah,
a few years ago.
that's
How
good.
much vitamin C are you really getting,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
right. So vitamin D3. Who here's on a vitamin D3 supplement? Okay, if you are not, you need to be, okay? Vitamin D3 is absolutely crucial. And it's not just about bone density, okay? Bone density is a big piece of it. If you do not have enough vitamin D in your system every day, it dramatically decreases the function of your immune system. So getting up to at least a bare minimum of 1,000 IUs per day, but optimally 5,000 IUs per day. The Vitamin D Research Council says you can actually have a safe upper limit of 10,000 IUs per day before you become toxic. And in this part of the world, we have such low sun exposure that just about everybody that's not taking it supplementally will have some type of a deficiency, okay? And so you'll notice that because, you know, if you're vitamin D deficient, every time the sun goes away, you're going to get sick. Yes, sir?
50 to 100 moles per liter. You get a blood test, 75 is optimal.
Yeah.
And
Is
so
that
you
what you
could,
would say, 75?
Yeah.
75.
Yeah, you want to be right at
So
the
you can take, like, I take 3, in the wintertime,
Mhm.
3, 400 IUs a day,
Mhm.
summertime 2, and
Mhm.
right there.
Right.
Plus
So-
there's other supplements you take may have vitamin D in them also.
Right, exactly. And so like your multivitamins oftentimes will have some in it too. Not usually high quantities, usually around 400 IUs, but you know, you want to try and make sure that you're trying to hit bare minimum of 1,000, optimally 5,000, okay? So now if you have any friends or family members that are darker skinned, so they oftentimes have really dramatic deficiencies in D3, okay? So encourage them to go and get their levels tested by their family physician and make sure they get their levels up, okay? Because the long-term health benefit or health effects on it can be really substantial. So plant extracts are important, okay? Now you're talking things that are like well-absorbed phytonutrients. These things are big disease fighters. They've been shown to affect blood pressure. You can get these in like capsule forms, or you can get them in powder forms. Like there's things like greens furs, which is like it's concentrated greens, berries, things like that. But those plant extracts are really great because especially if you have picky eaters in your family, they're a really easy, cost-effective way to go and get your vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients in a powder format that most people will like the taste of. Okay? Omega-3s, huge, huge, huge in immune function. It's been shown to decrease the risk factor for heart disease, reduces systemic inflammation, improves triglycerides. But if you have kids, also think about the fact that omega-3s are essential for development of their nervous system. Okay? So especially at young ages, they need to have a lot of it, but all of us. Our nervous system is directly impacted by these omega-3s. Gotta have them, gotta have them, gotta have them. So there's several others on here. One of the big ones here is gamma-linolenic acid. This is just a major, major potent fatty acid, okay? So it's been shown to prevent chronic inflammation, skin problems, help with the treatment of asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, prevents narrowing of the arteries, diabetes, obesity, cancer, and reduces the likelihood of blood clots, okay? Curcumin, again, same thing, major, major health benefits to this. Improves joint stiffness, swelling, and pain. Decreases respiratory problems, so coughing, sputum, stuffy noses. So if you're dealing with the bugs that everyone's getting right now, curcumin also has benefits for that. Has been proven to help with digestive ulcers, irritable bowel, inflammatory bowel disease, and pancreatitis. Brain health, it's been shown to go protect brain cells from damage. And then it also inhibits the growth of cancer cells. So it's a super supplement.
If you get turmeric, what amount do you need in your?
Again, you want to try and be in a range of around 400 milligrams per day.
Okay.
So now, if you're dealing with something like a pain condition or a flare, like an inflammatory bowel or something like that, then what you'll do is you'll take it kind of like you would like a pain reliever, where you'll take it in divided doses during the course of the day, where you'll do something along the lines of like 400 every 4 hours.
Okay.
So, has anyone ever used reishi mushroom?
No.
Okay, good. So this is a big immune booster. Really, really powerful natural immune booster. And you can find this stuff in a lot of different places online, and a lot of your health food stores carry this stuff. So one of the big things that it does, it increases the activity of your immune cells called macrophages, okay? These macrophages are super important. You know why? Eat tumor cells, okay? They're the Pac-Mans. Anytime there's damaged cells, they come and eat them up. So when you're killing T cells, mark these guys, macrophages come and engulf them, okay? So also has been shown to reduce blood pressure. So we're not going to talk about these ones here, but weight protein and licorice are pretty cool. L-glutamine, so who here gets sugar cravings? Right? L-glutamine will get rid of your sugar cravings within minutes, okay? So L-glutamine is the most abundant amino acid in your body. It has a million different functions. I could spend an entire lecture just talking about L-glutamine, right, Patrick? So L-glutamine will get rid of your sugar cravings almost instantaneously, all right? So for those of us who fight it, that's what you want to put in. You can get it in powder form, or you can get it in capsule form. I find the powder form is a little faster to go and react.
Does it taste like sugar? Come on.
If you put in a sweet drink.
Does that come with chocolate?
If only, right? All right. So this is all different stuff that's in there. So probiotics. So I'm sure many of you have heard about probiotics from yogurts and things like that. But let's talk about one of the big things that probiotics does. Frontline defense for your immune system. All right? 80% of your immune function starts with your gut. If you have an unhealthy gut, you are more likely to get sick. So having a good, solid gut flora protects you against a whole host of diseases. Because if you want to think about how you get sick, it's a space issue. If you don't have a good, strong gut flora, pathogenic bacteria and viruses find their way in open spaces inside your GI in most cases. So if you have a good, healthy gut flora, they don't let them in because there's not room for them to get past. So these are your little defenders, your little soldiers inside your gut, okay? And it's tongue to tail. You have these little healthy bacteria all the way through. So you want to make sure you really reinforce these guys. Plus they help with regulation of cholesterol levels. So they help with reducing cholesterol, promote healthy teeth and gums, protect against eczema. I mean, the benefits of probiotics are endless. So there's actually a huge project right now called the Human Microbiome, where they're doing the same thing they did with the human genome, trying to define what the different bacteria in the gut do, and their findings are just astronomical. So we are just starting to scratch the surface of how important probiotics are for our health. But one of the big things that they always talk about is that you have to go and get these gut flora replenished. So when everyone's had someone who's been on antibiotics right now, they need to be taking tons of these. Because secondary infections oftentimes occur because your gut flora is depleted, so you're now susceptible to infections, right? And everyone's had someone in the hospital who antibiotics and they get sick with something else, right? We've all known that. So that's why. And so if you have a loved one that's in the hospital on antibiotics, you got to be their advocate and say they got to put them on probiotics if they're not doing it themselves. And not everyone automatically does that, unfortunately. So if you have a loved one that's going through something like that, probiotics, you got to demand it. Okay? All right. So digestive enzymes. Does anyone here ever take digestive enzymes? I know you do. That's wonderful. Digestive enzymes are really helpful for a lot of us because your digestive enzymes decrease as we get older. Okay? Which means if you don't have some help with digestion, then you oftentimes don't get the maximum benefits of the foods you're taking in because you won't be able to get it all processed. Okay? So digestive enzymes break down proteins, fats, and carbs. So another big thing, though, is they dismantle these things called immune complexes that can get trapped in between the tissues and cause inflammation. There's certain foods that we eat that as they break down, if they're not cleared out of the system or broken down completely, they can get caught into our tissues and they can lead to inflammation, right? So there's certain types of beans that are known for depositing these immune complexes. And when these things get into our cell, there's a lot of people who are theorizing they could be tightly intertwined with fibromyalgia. So when you see these immune complexes that are not being dismantled, when you start supplementing with digestive enzymes, things like pancreatin and bromelain and other digestive enzymes, they're known to go and find it, destroy it, get rid of the immune complexes. And so it will help with getting the body's cells to just become healthier because you have these immune complexes that are sticking to the cells. So bromelain is in pineapple, but I'll tell you, if you have anybody that's dealing with like congestion, supplementing heavily with bromelain helps to lengthen the mucus because mucus is made of proteins. Bromelain, if you take it in sufficient quantities, thins the mucus out so that it'll be easier for them to breathe, easier to clear the sputum. Okay? And you take it before a meal or 2 hours after, and it works really well. In my family, that's all that we use when we have to go through the mucus. So papain from papaya is also similar in dysfunction of bromelain. So for folks that are dealing with lactose intolerance, pancreatin helps a lot with that, and the lipase are fat-based enzymes. They break down fats. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this for joint health. Cardiovascular support, coenzyme Q10 is a very important supplement. It protects your cells from free radical damage, but it also drives the motors in the cells. Okay. So does anyone have a friend or a loved one that's taking a statin drug? All right. So statins really get rid of coenzyme Q10, which is why so many people will get the muscle cramps, substantial fatigue. So all of the lethargy issues that come with statin therapy, it's because coenzyme Q10 is being depleted from the system. If you get somebody like that on coenzyme Q10, it actually will improve the effectiveness of their other meds, but it will get rid of the fatigue and the cramping. Okay? So now, has anyone here ever taken red rice yeast extract? Okay, good. So it contains a chemical called meminoline. And this is actually the same type of chemical that's in your cholesterol meds, so it will naturally lower your LDL cholesterol and your triglycerides. Pretty neat, huh? All these little natural remedies. So brain support, magnesium, most important mineral in the body, involved in over 300 different body processes. So digestion, memory, tremendous supplement. If you're not taking it, you should be. So everyone's heard about zinc for its impact on immune function, but it also is really important because it helps you to maintain your attention span. Okay? Helps you to also increase your memory and retention. Omega-3s for memory, learning, and intelligence. And choline, it's a precursor to acetylcholine, which is one of your body's primary memory chemicals. Yes, ma'am?
How do you know how much magnesium you're supposed to have? Because of the fact that I have one friend who, I guess the pharmacist wasn't watching what she was taking. All those she's actually, her liver and kidneys were damaged because of it.
Oh boy.
She got such high.
Yeah.
So you're saying that's good to take magnesium, but that's fine. What is the amount that's safe?
Okay, so let's say this 2 ways, given the situation. Number one, if you are a person who's taking medicines, you should always take all your medicines and all your supplements to your pharmacist to have them analyzed for interactions, which they can and will do for you, okay? If you are a normal, healthy individual, not on a bunch of meds, okay? Magnesium, you want to be around 400, top end of around 800 per day. So the research says you can go as high as 1,000, okay? The only contraindication in a normal, healthy individual to it is if you hit too high of a point, so 1,000 or greater, then you may experience loose stool. It's a little bit diarrhea. It's a natural laxative, yes. Now, form-wise, like if you take magnesium glycinate, it tends to prevent you from getting loose stool. So, and that's oftentimes the people who have a lot of chronic issues with constipation. So you'll want to go into a little higher ranges so that it'll relax the musculature of the abdomen, of the intestines, without giving the diarrhea effect, but helping you to have more natural stool.
You just have to take it a little bit at a time.
You got it.
Until you reach a point that you, something's enough.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So everyone knows about the benefits of exercise, right? So exercise and healing is such a huge thing. I mean, it's been shown to decrease risk factors for cardiovascular disease, cancer risk, heart disease, improves blood pressure, improves the function of all of your internal organs. So it naturally gets rid of anxiety and depression. I mean, the benefits of exercise just can't be understated. It guards your body against chronic and harmful inflammation, and it recruits the immune cells instead of inhibiting them. So we really want to focus on just getting into a regular exercise regimen if you're not there already. So one of the big things is it activates key neurotransmitters that elevate your mood, right? So, I mean, has anyone ever heard of the runner's high? You go and do a bout of exercise and you just have that high for a while. So every time you exercise, it's going to elevate that. So, and that's a whole cascade of healing events, right? Because now you've got all of your body's processes kind of clicking. The immune system's primed, better circulation, better cardiovascular function, increasing bone density, increasing muscle mass, improving your body, your basal metabolic rate, increasing your body's ability to go and fight cancer. I mean, it's amazing.
You run 4 miles during lunch, you don't care what the kids are doing the rest of the day.
You got it. So this is interesting. It says just 2.5 hours of exercise, a moderate aerobic exercise a week, has been shown to have substantial benefits. But what was really cool is this. So one of the issues that we all face as we age is a decline in our immune function. So check this out. Elderly women who are highly conditioned have the immune function of college-age women, right? So, and the heart and lungs of women in their 40s.
Now, what do you consider highly conditioned?
I would say you. So, everybody hears about the healing benefits of sleep, okay? So, sleep is so important because all of your systems require sleep to recover, rebuild, and energize the systems. But it also has other benefits too, because besides the fact that your system's healing, so it will help with weight loss, because if you're not getting sufficient amounts of sleep, your cortisol levels never have a time to come all the way back down. So your body has to go and process the day's stress, recover, and then repeat, okay? So that 6 to 7 hour range is really important. So, and really and truly optimal is at least 6 hours, okay? Because your body has these things called circadian rhythms. Has anyone ever heard that term?
Yeah.
Okay, so one circadian rhythm is 3 hours. You need at least 2 circadian rhythms per night to go all the way through the process twice. Okay? So 6 hours of sleep per night is really where you need to be at.
Is there too much sleep?
Huh?
Is there too much sleep?
Of course, yes. So, you know, one of the big things is that if, like, let's say, for example, if you're an 8-hour nighter, okay? So you're waking up in the middle of a circadian rhythm. So your body actually never feels good if you're getting 8 hours of sleep, 10 hours of sleep, because if you get that level, you're in the middle of a sleep cycle.
Oh.
Yeah. So when you wake up in the middle of a sleep cycle, you never feel refreshed. That's why people who sleep a lot and wake up on those odd time frames are always tired.
So you're better with 6?
3, so you can't make it on 3, but you want to get through, to
I was
6.
gonna say, usually 80-30, I'm in bed and not up until like 7, so.
So 6 to 9 hours, if you're going to go and try and
So
target.
you try to get.
You try and go through the
multiples of
circadian,
three.
yeah, multiples of 3 is really where you want to be at. So if you can get 9, God bless you and tell me how you're doing it.
Wow.
So start moving and start mending. Throw my pen all over here, excuse me. So forms of exercise are also important, okay? You want to focus on trying to get a few days of strength training in per week, all right? So as we talked about, it fights heart disease, diabetes, depression, improves body comp, helps with back pain, helps with immune function, joint health, increases stamina, decreases likelihood of osteoporosis, and so on and so forth, okay? So this is well documented. So has anyone here ever done Tai Chi?
A little bit.
Okay, good. Tai Chi is fantastic. It's technically considered a martial art, but it's a series of forms that you go through, very postural, focuses on movement, balance, helps with function, flexibility, and has been shown to decrease fall risk, improves bone health, improves flexibility, decreases the symptoms of fibromyalgia, helps you to manage stress, improves sleep quality. It's tremendous. And it's one of the oldest forms of exercise done on earth. So it's done by more people than any other form. It is. So, yoga, how many yogis do we have here? That's right. So, if you're not doing yoga, I strongly suggest it. And if you're a patient in the practice you here, I love it. I do it myself all the time, and I highly advocate for it. So, yoga is one of the best forms of body conditioning that there is, right? Unless you're specifically targeting a certain type of strength training, whatever, yoga is one of the best ways you can condition your body because it's safe. It helps to go and balance your body structures out, puts muscles back into balance, and it targets flexibility, strength, balance, has a million different known benefits. So there's a lot of improvement in digestive function, immune function, things like that with it. One of the nice things for those of you who are not yoga practitioners is if you do yoga on a regular basis, it's one of the very few things that you can actually do as a form of exercise that gets you focused solely on only what you're doing, right? Many times if you're at the gym, you can get caught in conversation, be focusing on a million other things, you can't turn your mind off. Yoga, Tai Chi, you're so focused in the moment, it's very difficult to focus on anything else when you're doing these. So if you have a stressful life, do this. It's a great way to get your mind out of yourself and start focusing outward, okay? So here's a couple of things that I think are important to understand, okay? So if you're going to get the benefits out of exercise, you got to know how to start. So first things first, define your goal, okay? So think about what you want to accomplish so you come in with a plan, right? Am I trying to get stronger? Am I trying to add muscle mass? Am I trying to lean out? Do I want to do a marathon? Think about what your goals are, okay? Goal setting is incredibly important because you don't want to set yourself up for failure. You want to set out very specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timeline goals. SMART goals. Anyone ever heard this term before? So goal setting, even in fitness, is incredibly important, okay? So, and I think that everybody should think about, before you even begin a program, is what am I trying to accomplish? Okay? And be realistic with what you put out there. Put it in sections of the year. Give yourself a timeline for when you're going to attain each thing. And put it somewhere where you have to look at it often. It's very important to go and have those goals where they're in reach. So, try out different forms of exercise to find out what works for you. And most importantly, get moving and have fun. Okay? So, you want to move often, so do things that continuously are changing your position. So, bike ride, so go for a run every once in a blue moon, swim. Always try and change up your activity, but consistently move. And then, if you've not been in a program recently, make sure you contact your healthcare provider to go and help you with getting started. So, new healing arts. So, for those of you who are here, obviously you know chiropractic. For those of you who are not familiar, so let me just explain the basic premise of where chiropractic fits into the healing paradigm. Okay? So, chiropractic is simple and complex in the way that we work. So, our role is to help to go and improve the function of the body by getting the brain's communication with everything outward to improve. If there's interference with the body's function, because there's some place in the spine where the nerve is being blocked going into an area, then the area that's being affected will not function as well, will not recover as well, because the network of communication between the brain and those organs is going to be blocked. When we do adjustments to the spine, our goal is very simple. Remove the interference to the brain and spine out through the nerves so that the body can heal the way it was intended to. And those of you who've been here, many of you know that obviously one of the things that we like to see is improved health with getting adjusted. So it's a pretty simple premise, complex in the way that it's performed, but simple in its intent. So we consider this to be important because this is a system of maintenance once you're past the point of dealing with pain. So, I've been getting adjusted now for 15 years. And I get adjusted myself. I'm the doctor. I get adjusted every 2 weeks. And one of the big things that we focus on is not so much coming with pain, because I don't have to hurt to get adjusted. I get adjusted because it keeps me healthier. And the longer I've been getting adjusted, the healthier that I've been. And anyone who's seen me here for any period of time knows I'm usually the one who's not sick, even when all the sick people are around. So the reason is because we try to keep the bodies in balance. We get adjusted, we eat well, we exercise, we try to get enough rest, we try to keep all the systems functioning at a high level, so we're trying to keep our body in a self-healing state. So laser therapy, which I was happy to see this was in the book, he talks a lot about laser therapy because it helps to stimulate the body's natural healing processes. We happen to be one of the few practitioners in the area that does laser therapy, but it's great because what it does is it takes your body's own innate healing processes and it speeds it up. So it's beneficial for a number of different types of conditions, whether it's wounds, whether it's inflammatory conditions in tendons, joints, so joint pain, you name it. I mean, for those of you who've had it, you can speak on it. But for those of you who don't know much about laser therapy, it has tremendous benefits for a number of different conditions. Energy healing. So if you don't know much about energy healing, this is a really cool area of the complementary healing. Becky?
Yes.
So when you start talking about the energy healing, that kind of encompasses things like acupuncture, homeopathy, magnetic field therapy, and Reiki. And I know we have a couple of Reiki practitioners here who can speak on it if they want to. But acupuncture is the oldest form, okay, of the energy healing arts. And so it's very cool. So does anybody remember from science class when you learned about how the planet had magnetic fields? Okay, because we have nerves, our nerves produce magnetic fields around our body. So what they do is they've amazingly mapped out the body's magnetic fields. And so they use needles to go and change the function of those points where the body's magnetic fields are going to affect organs and systems. I'm not an acupuncturist, but I've witnessed the benefits in many of my patients. Becky, obviously you've benefited from this. It's a tremendous, tremendous adjunct. So if you're looking for natural therapies to try and improve your health, get acupuncture. It's amazing. And the studies and the research that are being done on this, so the National Institute of Health has two primary areas where they focus on for complementary and alternative care. Chiropractic and acupuncture receive millions and billions of dollars in research grants these days because of the benefits they show for health improvements and health changes. Acupuncture has been shown to go and stimulate massive changes when they do stimulation of points in MRI studies. So when they go through and they start working with these acupuncture points, they can show stimulation of certain areas of the brain that affect the heart, the lungs, the intestines, because your brain actually has a map, so called a homunculus, and so they know based upon what area of the brain lights up what organs are being affected. And they've been shown that what they say with these acupuncture needlings actually stimulates the areas that are anticipated to be affected by it. It's tremendous. So I have a number of patients who had pretty severe allergies who had nothing but acupuncture for allergies. Allergies went completely away. Yeah, it's amazing. So do my Reiki people want to talk about that at all? So Reiki is really geared towards helping to improve the energy fields around the body. So if you understand there is an energy system that the body has, so Reiki practitioners help you go and stimulate the body's innate healing processes by manipulating either through touch or proximity over the body to try and manipulate those energy fields. And so from patients I've known who've had Reiki done, they come back and say, I don't understand how it worked, but it was amazing because I felt like $1 million afterwards. So keep an open mind to it and give it a try. So massage therapy, I think everyone knows that there's a tremendous benefit to massage therapy. It has tremendous value in improving the quality of our tissues, improving pain conditions, helps with the circulatory systems, lymphatic system, which is your primary system that helps with immune function. So your lymphatic cells are the cells that travel through the body in a network called lymphatic vessels, and they go through and they do the cleanup when we have injuries. They go through and do all of the attacking when we're sick. So they're incredibly important.
You don't want one that puts you to sleep.
No, not that would
No pain, no gain.